It's great to be here on the first day of the Festival of Media in Rome with Nikki Mendonca from OMD and Fabio from Bacardi. You guys have just been together on a panel discussing storytelling. It was in the measurement room, which seemed a little bit strange to me because I tend to think of storytelling as a creative thing. But, how do you guys feel measurement ties into storytelling these days?
I think we discussed it a little bit on the panel, actually, in terms of dynamic measurement of everything, of storytelling and story making is so important to actually improve then what you create next. It's that sort of fulfillment of marketing activity, which I now think is a prerequisite. So I think it's so important to feed your next move, to be able to give every advertiser continuous improvement.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, from my perspective, I've always been fascinated by storytelling. That's the main reason I got in the first place, first in marketing, then advertising, now client side again, is the power of telling a good story. And I think data, innovation, digital kind of opportunities are giving us a place to play that is unrivaled. It's incredible. Done in the right way, we can create very immersive brand stories. I guess there's some observations and some considerations rather, which is making sure that innovation is done for the greater good for the brand and the message they're trying to deliver, as opposed to taking over the message. And also as our audiences are becoming more savvy about blocking and filtering out brand content, I think it's very important for brands to see that value exchange to a point where actually branded content is not something that you want to avoid at all costs, but it's something that you understand advertising. People are okay with advertising when it performs a role and when it's good. So it's that kind of balance we need to strike.
And I think we did. We talked a lot about not getting distracted with the latest and greatest innovative formats and staying true to your brand purpose, so that at least it's almost like that should be your red thread through everything that you do, because it's getting harder and harder to sort of stay the course and not get distracted, because you also feel like you should be leveraging every new platform that comes your way, and actually maybe you shouldn't. If it doesn't fit in with your brand story, then it's a no.
Yes, this is true. And how do you pick which channels you think work for you? What is the criteria that you go with when you're picking which formats to go with?
Well, particularly we had quite a big discussion on the panel about it has to be consumer first driven, because if your particular cohort that you're wanting to communicate to isn't there, then why are you there?
Yeah.
So I think that really it's the consumer behavior that should drive all of your interactions, communications, conversations, and if you stay true to that, then I really think you can't go wrong.
Well, and also part of the title was story making as well as storytelling, and the experiential side of it, which is a very consumer focused way to go. I mean, how important do you think story making is these days?
So for a brand like us, where a large part of our expenditure is either on digital or experiential, is incredibly important.
I saw there was something pop up about an experiential. One of the adverts they showed of yours was experiential in the US at the moment.
That's correct.
That looks interesting.
Yeah. So we have events, especially during the summer season, happening literally every single week somewhere in the world or different places at the same time. So really, the story-making aspect of it is really important as well. One of my favorite pieces of work is a bit old now, but in terms of addressable advertising, actually didn't rely on much technology to begin with. It's the Share a Coke campaign, where it could have been done, at least the first part of it, many years ago. But the way that the brand put the brand in the consumer's hands, for them to tell a story, for each kind of Coke to have a value in their life and actually gift it to a friend and really have a meaning put to it. I think that's what a brand needs to aspire to do, to tell really meaningful stories from our point of view, from the consumer's point of view, or to enable the consumers to become story makers in their own rights.
Yes, and I think experiential marketing, across the breadth and depth of a lot of our advertisers at OMD, critically important, and especially with the younger audience groups, because you really do have to integrate yourself, integrate your brand into people's lives and take on a value and a purpose that is bigger than than maybe, a rational satisfaction. So, experiential marketing is important to get into the cultural fabric of young people today.
Talking about cultural fabric, I thought it was an interesting point that you made about how you look at a painting and the eyes might follow you, but it doesn't stalk you down the street, which, culturally we might find a bit intimidating if suddenly advertising started chasing us down the street.
Yeah.
What do you think is the difference between stalking and targeting?
I'm a man of many analogies. I love a good analogy.
I love a good analogy.
And I make them up as I go along. But that one, for me, is really, there's nothing that put me off the most than actually going to someone's website and then forever after being targeted and
particularly
stalked.
if you already bought the product.
Especially when you already bought the products. Or when your kids don't need to have nappies anymore and someone is still targeting to sell you nappies. So I think what is really important is that we use the technology at our disposal two ways. One is to make our stories more immersive and to be able to tell a sequential story in ways that weren't possible before, for example, but also use the technology to read those moments where we have the license and the opportunity to talk to our consumers in different ways. If we put all those things together in the right way, we would have made a fantastic improvement into how we used to do this even 2 years ago. That's where the balance is. We tend to get too obsessed about that kind of technology paraphernalia without thinking of the consumer first, and that's where the danger can result.
No, it's very true. So obviously we've had almost a full day of content at this point. Have any of the other sessions that we've seen really stood out? Have you learned anything today, or what's been your highlight so far?
So the first one, I think it was the first one about 100 years to dominate. I thought it was really good. It started in an unorthodox way with someone dancing on stage. It was the presenter, but everything became clear after it. So I think that was a great presentation. It wasn't particularly based on the topics we have here, but it was really applicable to what we do. It's just embracing those things that look like they might be a big risk sometimes, or you might, at the outset, it looks like there's a big possibility of failure. Embrace, try things, pilot things. At Bacardi, we have a really entrepreneurial spirit. It comes from, the 150 years plus of the family really preserving this beautiful brand against all odds. So we try a lot of things, and we learn, and then we adjust, and then we continue learning. So that's what we do.
I was particularly impressed with the IBM session, and especially on AI and deep learning, because I have a positive reaction to AI. I know that a lot of people fear it, but I'm actually quite excited by it. I do realize that it's going to replace a lot of manual labor, and so, make a lot of people redundant, and that's something that we're going to have to deal with as society. But actually, in terms of being able to really be much more consumer focused and almost give people more than just a service as part of a brand, and really get into understanding what they want, when they want, how they want. I think the possibilities are endless. So I really am very, very excited about the application of AI in marketing and advertising.
Fabulous. And one last question, guys. So here we are now, but what do you think is the future for storytelling and story making? What to you is the next step?
I think we will continue to see domination of mobiles in our lives. We will see at some point in the no long distant future, we'll see the absence of screens completely.
Yeah.
Audio will replace some of the space that mobile is today doing, with the Alexas of this world and many other things that will come on our way. Search will have a tremendous impact as a consequence of that, because it will be one results search kind of environment. So brands will have to adapt to that, as well as platforms and advertisers. So I think it's exciting, it's really fascinating. I think that when you look at what's happening in the film industry with Netflix, when someone removed the tyranny of the 1 hour slot on television, look at what happens. So we are about to go through from an advertising perspective, so very exciting.
I agree with Fabio in that I think voice search is actually going to be quite revolutionary. And I also feel that targeting by emotion and targeting by mood, you start putting those two things together. I mean, unfortunately, it might sort of send us down a pattern of behavior that then doesn't allow you to broaden out of it, like we have a social feed bubble. In that respect, you might have just a very close portfolio of brands that you never step out of. So that'll be a new challenge to try and break consumers out of that, especially in a world that is so AI dominated and so voice search dominated.
Fabulous. Well, thanks very much for talking, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of the festival. Have you got anything you're looking forward to over the next few days? The next day,
I'm looking forward to the awards ceremony tonight, and
too.
I hope OMD does very well.
Fingers crossed.
I'll show you well. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.